Welcome to Witness Wednesday here on the Walk Boldly with Jesus podcast. I'm your host, Katherine Duggan. However, each Wednesday, I will have a guest give their witness of how God is working in their lives. Hearing how God is working in other people's lives shows us how deeply He cares for each one of us individually. Listening to these experiences will help your faith grow. I am so blessed to be able to share these with you. Let's get started. Today, I have two witnesses for you. One is from a friend of mine who recently went on a vacation to see her daughter, and she shares how the Lord was with her the whole time. The second one is from Matthew West's website called PopWe.org. If you don't know who Matthew West is, he is a singer, songwriter, and storyteller. This website is for the nonprofit that he has with his father, who's a pastor. Matthew and his father encourage people to share their stories. They have various categories of stories. Today, I chose one testimony from the anxiety-depression category. I know so many people who are struggling with anxiety and depression right now. Suicide seems to be increasing as well. Often, we can hear our own story in someone else's story. When we listen to others tell their story, it helps us to see that we are not alone. When we hear how God worked in their situation, it gives us hope that He will work in ours too. I pray that when you hear these testimonies, you get the faith and hope to believe that miracles can happen in your situation too. I pray you know the Lord is there with you, and that if you invite Him into your anxiety and depression, He can help you. First up is my friend from prayer group. She realized once she got to Florida that she had lost her passport. She didn't really have any other current form of ID, and so she had no idea how she would get back on her plane to Massachusetts. This is the message she wrote after she got back from her trip. I want to thank everyone who prayed for me during my trip to Florida. God showed me that He was God and that He was taking care of me. I was not supposed to board that plane without my passport, but I did. My daughter Maria and I arrived early at the airport on Monday, 11/24/25. I had a late flight. The plane was supposed to arrive at Logan at midnight. We went directly to security. When I saw the security officer, I immediately asked the Holy Trinity to soften his heart. He took my expired license. He photographed me, and then he let me go. He asked Maria to obtain a pass so she could stay with me. JetBlue changed my flight to an earlier one and upgraded my seat to 6F. A male passenger helped me with my bags until the wheelchair assistant arrived to help me. He brought me directly to where my ride was parked. The perfect moment arrived when I listened to my phone messages on my landline. I heard JetBlue say, "We have found your passport. Please call this number." I could hardly believe it. I had to set up a FedEx number so JetBlue could mail it back to me. I received a phone call today regarding the tracking number. I should get my passport back by this coming Monday. While I was in Florida, someone charged my credit card for an unauthorized transaction, but my bank caught it and prevented it from going through. They froze my card. I had to go to the bank yesterday to obtain another credit card. I can testify that the Lord is taking excellent care of me. I was mostly sick throughout my trip, but I will always be grateful to God for showing me His love and His care. Next is Brianna. From the age of 10, I was stuck with the label of child prodigy, winning piano competitions featured in local papers and recognized as a passionate, fiery recitalist. Yet even as a youth, I was severely depressed. I was insecure, seeking affection, and perpetually in pursuit of attaining good enough. Right before my 16th birthday, my whole world suddenly turned upside down. It was an unexpected turn of events. I faced a close encounter with death, had my innocence taken, and watched helplessly as my mother's health began to rapidly fail. Too ashamed to ask for help and blaming myself for the situation, I despairingly turned to self-harm, eating disorders, and eventually planning my own suicide. One day I heard the song Broken Pieces, and I found something onto which I could cling to. Truth, even when I could not feel it and it failed to make sense. Through involvement with this organization called Chehi Summer School of Music, I came to personally know Christ. For the first time in my life, I experienced peace, hope, and true joy. Dedicating my life to God, I went back home with a different perspective. My life was still intense, balancing high school and conservatory studies, living between home and the hospital, while being a full-time caretaker for my undiagnosed mother. By the grace of God, I managed to graduate as salutatorian and get accepted into music school. However, shortly before college began, my mother passed away. I started my BA in piano at Charleston Southern University, using every spare moment to pour my heart into the keys as a wordless prayer. Yet a lingering pain in my right hand soon became constant. A few months after my mother's funeral, I was diagnosed with severe damage in my right hand, incited by the physical strains from being a caretaker. The only option left was surgery, followed by excruciating therapy, without a guarantee of returning to the keys. My doctor strongly advised me to quit and choose a different career path, but I fought back. Over the next several years, I fought through recovery from both surgical and emotional scars. I realized that, though I had given my life to Christ, I hadn't fully surrendered it. In those precious years of undergrad, I experienced the freedom found in surrendering to the grace of God, the beauty in vulnerability, and the power of learning to fly again. Then, nearly 4 years to the day that the doctor said it was over, I found myself sitting on stage, performing at Carnegie Hall. When I turned to the audience to see a standing ovation, I burst into tears because I remembered the words, "With you, I can attack a barrier, and with God, I can overleap a wall." Psalm 18:29. Today, despite the formalities infused in classical music, I get to use the concert stage as a platform to share my story and encourage others to seek help and experience the peace of God. I perform and travel internationally as a soloist and chamber musician, frequently being sought after to premiere avant-garde piano works, and I am actively involved in youth and collegiate ministry. Although healing is an ongoing process, by the hand of God's work in my life, the label of victim has been replaced with victorious. Hopeless has been covered by confidence, and what was impossible is now a living, breathing, walking miracle. Thank you both so much for sharing your stories with us today so that others might see how the Lord is working in their lives too. We have all seen God working in our lives. However, we might not all be aware it is God who is working in our lives. This is why it's so important we start talking about it more. The more we share our experiences, the more people understand how God works and how much He truly loves us. If you would be willing to share any of your experiences of how God has worked in your life, please email me at Catherine@findingtruenorthcoaching.com. CATHERINE at findingtruenorthcoaching.com. Or you can click on the link below. It won't take up much of your time, and your story could be just the story someone needs to hear today. Please prayerfully consider sharing your story. Everyone has one, and the world needs to hear them. I look forward to spending time with you again tomorrow. Remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. I will have another witness for you next Wednesday. Have a blessed day.